What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. One of my most anticipated games of 2021 is Resident Evil Village. And guys, I've been a huge fan of the Resident Evil franchise, most notably, though, that being the latest installment in the Resident Evil franchise being, of course, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. And I know that they've had remakes and things of that nature, but I absolutely loved Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. And I've been hoping that with Resident Evil 8, they were going to continue kind of what they started with that game, where they were going to kind of stick more horror over the action within the Resident Evil universe. And I think that that's something that I guess really has intrigued me. And it sounds like with Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8, it sounds like they're going to continue what they started with Resident Evil 7, but have a little more action in it than, say, what Resident Evil 7 had. And I'm totally cool with that, because I know a lot of people thought that it didn't have enough action within that of, Resident Evil 7. So now with Village, guys, we've gotten more information, and I definitely want to talk about everything that we know about Resident Evil Village. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below, what you guys want to see in this game and what your early thoughts are about the title. So let's get into it. So in an article, guys, written by Danny Paez of Inverse, May is shaping up to be the scariest month of the year. On January 21st, Capcom revealed the release date of the Resident Evil series' 8th installment, Resident Evil Village, along with new gameplay footage, clues about the story, details of the new crafting system, the PlayStation 5 demo, and a new playable character. The last fleeting glimpse of the upcoming horror games fans received came during the Tokyo Game Show on September 23 with the release of a new trailer that included developers' comments as well as snippets of gameplay. Capcom had released a steady stream of teasers since it revealed the 8th installment of the horror survival franchise during Sony's June 11th PlayStation 5 reveal. Resident Evil Village will continue the franchise's current storyline after more than a 3-year hiatus. Since 2017, Capcom has stopped churning out new Resident Evil content to release 2 remakes for RE2 and RE3, which were well received by longtime fans of the series and newcomers alike. And, the big thing for me, guys, when it comes to remakes, even though I definitely appreciate that they came out with RE2 and RE3 remakes, and, obviously the graphics look, from a graphical standpoint, it looks great. They've added a little bit of some content here and there in those as well. The thing about it, though, is, when you play a remake, for the most part, you've already played that same game, before. There might be certain changes or things that they've added to those remakes, but for the most part, the story and structure. Whereas, so obviously those have been great, but at the same time, we've been wanting that next continuation of this franchise. And Resident Evil Village seems to be certainly what we're I gotta say, very excited about this title. Now, Resident Evil Village will bring back the series' newfound first-person gameplay with a new title that will take inspiration from horror movies like The Exorcist and Blair Witch. And when you talk about those two movies, guys, and you're talking about a game that's kind of going to be, somewhat of an inspiration to those two movies, that makes me very, very excited. So the big question, guys, when is the Resident Evil Village release date? Well, Resident Evil Village will launch on May 7th, 2021. The game was originally due to launch in April, according to the compiled list of leaks stemming from the ransomware attack detailed on Reset Era. Before this, Capcom had only specified that the game would launch in 2021. So May 7th, guys. Now, obviously, take that date with a pinch of salt, simply because we don't know, with the pandemic and all the things going on with that, if they're going to be able to stick with the May 7th date. Hopefully they're able to, but I wouldn't be surprised if they push it back later on in the year, if they don't feel like they can really ramp up, the advertising and things of that nature to make this, this is one of their biggest franchises, so they're going to certainly want this one to get knocked out of the park. Is there a PS5 demo for Resident Evil Village? Yes, the PS5 demo for Resident Evil Village became available on January 21st. The development team stated that demos for other platforms would roll out in the spring, so zombie fans that haven't managed to snag a PS5 yet will have to wait several more weeks before getting their hands on the latest chapter of the survival horror game. Now, the thing for me, guys, that's a real bummer for those of you who don't have a PlayStation, not being able to play the beta. That's really unfortunate. I now understand that a lot of these development studios are becoming, partners with Xbox or partners with, and getting exclusive content early. And so PlayStation got the early content here for Resident Evil Village. So hopefully it's not too long until all the other platforms get that demo. Now, as far as the trailers are concerned, guys, there are a number of trailers. They've given us kind of the story trailer, which I thought was really well done as well. And as far as the release of Resident Evil Village, I definitely would recommend, if you haven't already, watch the different trailers that have come out, guys. It gives you a lot, and I think that the gameplay looks really great, guys. The most recent game footage that they gave us looks great from a gameplay perspective. We'll have to wait till we get our full hands-on with the game. But will Resident Evil Village be on Xbox Series X and PS5? The recent ransomware leaks also shed some light on what consoles and platforms Resident Evil Village will be launched on. It turns out speculation about it not being an exclusively next-generation title were true. Capcom has plans to launch its new horror game on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles, as well as the next-gen PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. To top it off, the Rest era list also mentioned that Google paid Capcom $10 million to bring both RE7 and Resident Evil Village to its game streaming platform Stadia. The title will also naturally launch on PC, so that means all types of gamers will be able to play the title upon release, regardless of what platform they prefer, which is absolutely awesome. Very excited about that. We'll be able to get our hands on with it. I actually really like this, the deal that they made with Google, guys, for RE7 and Resident Evil Village on Stadia. I thought that was pretty cool. How long could the Resident Evil Village campaign be? While the extent of Resident Evil Village's campaign has not been revealed yet, but Resident Evil leaker Dust Golem claimed to know roughly how long it will be on their Twitter. I don't know the exact playtime, but I've heard pretty reliably out of the RE Engine games, it'll be the longest one. Not the absolute longest RE game. I personally suspect it'll be shorter than RE6 or RE4, but I've heard it's longer than RE7, RE2, and RE3. So, obviously, guys, what can we expect there? I mean, it's so hard to say, guys. I mean, it could be, relatively, it could be a long campaign. I'm hoping for a long campaign, a lot of things you can do within this world, even if it's side missions, things of that nature. I think the big, hitting point for me, though, guys, is the Resident Evil Reverse, which seems to be the multiplayer mode that comes with Resident Evil Village, which essentially, guys, after you're done playing the campaign, you'll be able to play multiplayer, which I think is huge for this title. It's, instead of moving on to other games, you're at least going to try out the multiplayer side of things if you like multiplayer. So I think it's important how long the campaign is, but I just want it to be really good. I want it to be polished, well done, and, definitely something that we can have conversations about for years to come, but I also want there to be, the multiplayer side of things, so we're able to play with our friends, and it would be cool to have some co-op as well. What is the Resident Evil Village story? In a press release following the Resident Evil showcase on January 21st, Capcom revealed the following information about Resident Evil Village. So Resident Evil Village continues the story of Ethan Winters, first set in motion Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. The latest entry combines pulse-pounding action with signature survival horror gameplay synonymous with the Resident Evil series. In today's first extensive look at gameplay, the development team revealed several new details, including some features which harken back to fan-favorite elements from previous Resident Evil games. Protagonist Ethan will now be able to purchase and sell items, buy recipes for crafting, and customize weapons with the merchant dubbed the Duke, which I think crafting is awesome, guys. Using materials found throughout the game, he will be able to craft invaluable consumables needed to survive the terrors of the village. Utilizing these provisions will also involve more strategic planning with a revised inventory system based on space management that may be familiar to series fans. The diverse cast of enemies appearing in today's digital program are just a few revealed from Resident Evil Village so far. Ethan will face off against many threats such as fast-moving creatures that relentlessly stalk him, and Lady, I don't know how to say her name, Demetrius, mysterious daughters who can transform into swarms of insects. The game's disparate lineup of adversaries will have their own distinctive ways of attacking, so players will need to adapt their strategies with quick decisions on when to attack, guard, or flee in order to survive. Ethan has a new kick move in his arsenal to create distance from enemies and buy precious time to decide his next move. Absolutely awesome. I mean, overall, guys, I'm very intrigued. I can't wait to see what this, with the crafting and all of those things, gives you kind of those thoughts of maybe even similar to The Last of Us, potentially. Obviously, some of the, earlier Resident Evil games as well. I'm very excited to say the least what all, it kind of what we kind of are able to do and what it all encompasses when we actually get our copy of the game. All of that information backed up other details that the RE news site Biohazard Declassified published back in January, which also noted that RE8 would launch with a clever title. Now on Monday, Biohazard Declassified published more unconfirmed details that tie into everything we've heard about this next chapter. Now look, guys. At the end of the day, a lot of these different things are all pure speculation. So we don't know for sure, guys, as far as if all the stuff that Biohazard Declassified is true, but you guys can certainly go through that if you'd like. While there's a lot of weight to these leaks, it's worth noting that Chris Redfield's role in Resident Evil Village wasn't mentioned. Finally, based on a translated interview with Resident Evil Village producers Tsuyoshi Kanda and Pete Fabiano from Japanese games magazine Famitsu, the upcoming installment will conclude Ethan's storyline, which is very interesting to me that they're going to conclude Ethan's storyline. So you wonder, does that mean that we're going to take the helm with Chris Redfield once again? How's that going to play out? There's a lot of question marks revolving that. So look, guys, at the end of the day, there is still speculation. Obviously, we haven't gotten our hands-on, impressions yet of this game. But from what we've seen so far, I am very excited about what we've seen so far when it comes to Resident Evil Village. Like I said, one of my most anticipated games of 2021. This is going to be, I think this is going to be something special, guys. I really do. Like I said, it kind of reminds me, maybe we're going to get a little bit of a taste of kind of Resident Evil 5 with some of that action, mixed with Resident Evil 7, Biohazard with some of the horror elements. So it should be very interesting to say the least, and I'll be sure to give you guys more information as it comes out. Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you guys excited about Resident Evil Village? Let me know. And for more Resident Evil Village content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. There are a lot of people who are really excited about a title coming out, guys, called Scavengers. This is a title, guys, that we had a beta release for it, but at the same time, we haven't really heard further information as to when the release date and things of that nature are going to be coming out. But from what we've seen so far of the beta, from a gameplay perspective and such, and even visually, it looks pretty good. And I gotta say, I'm excited about this title, and I want to talk about everything that we know so far about Scavengers. We can kind of break it down. I would love to have a real conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So an article, guys, written by Andy Rogers of CBR.com, Midwinter Entertainment revealed a new Scavengers gameplay trailer. Here's what we know so far about the upcoming Survival Royale. A new Scavengers trailer is dropped. And the more in-depth look at gameplay has players itching to know what this online hybrid shooter has to offer. The game has come along significantly since its E3 showing in 2019, showing off massive visual improvements and smoother gameplay. With the release of this trailer, developer Midwinter Entertainment is gearing up for players to experience Scavengers for themselves in playtest and closed beta. Now, obviously, guys, the closed beta did already happen, and from what I've heard, some people, it's kind of mixed. There's a lot of people saying that they really enjoyed, others saying that there's still a lot to be done. Now, as far as the release date is concerned, guys, this is the big part of it. Obviously, a full release of Scavengers is expected sometime in 2021. So if you were to ask me, guys, I'm thinking maybe later into the year, probably fall of 2021. Once again, though, guys, as always, you have to take any time frame that they're saying and kind of look at it and take it for what it is because of everything going on in the world right now. These things may be delayed and these games may be delayed further in the future. Scavengers will be free to play when it launches on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, though there's no word yet about whether the game will be available on the next-gen consoles. There are plans for a closed alpha and closed beta, but as Midwinter is currently still conducting playtests, no beta dates have been specified. As far as the plot is concerned, guys, Scavengers is set in a future where an asteroid has destroyed the moon and crashed into Earth, transforming our world into a frozen wasteland. From the asteroid's remains, an alien virus emerged, corrupting those infected in a monstrosities deemed the Scourge. The remnants of humanity escaped the wintry cataclysm, taking refuge within an orbiting space station called Sanctuary and watched over by an AI called Mother, who requests that survivors return to Earth to gather data and supplies. So a very interesting story to say the least, guys, as far as the gameplay is concerned, with PvE and PvP gameplay happening concurrently. Scavengers drop 3-player squads in a roughly 3-square-mile map where they'll have to contend with the frigid environment, mutated wildlife, and others squads seeking mother's approval. Your goal is simple: find and capture more data points than your opposing squads and make it off the planet alive. The reward for playing is mother's affection. The more data you collect, the more mother nurtures your ego and your wallet. So it's very interesting, guys, to say the least. I mean, when we look at just the gameplay and all that this game may very well, kind of encompass, I think that this, it's definitely, it seems like it's going to be different, for sure. And it's got some things, sure, it has some similarities, some of the other Royales that are out there. However, it definitely has its differences, which I really like as well. I can't wait to see the final product, to say the least. Now, before each match, players choose from a growing roster of class-based specialists, allowing you to combine their signature abilities with a variety of weaponry. Rifles, bows, and jerry-rigged axes are among the many tools in your armory, each proving useful for dealing with the mutant creatures and rival squads that cross your path. Unlike most battle royales, you can go in guns a-blazing or take a stealthier approach by using the environment to hide your tracks. Even the monstrous wildlife can be used to cause a distraction or to wreak havoc on enemy players. The choice is yours, and creative strategies are often the key to survival. Very exciting. Now, when it comes to survival, it's not just mutants or greedy explorers that threaten your mission. Frozen tornadoes scattered around the map grow as the match progresses and can drop you just as quick as any mutant or specialist. Be ready to take shelter from these storms, scavenge for food and supplies, and gather around fires to keep warm and stay alive. You'll need those resources because once Mother sends down her extraction ship, the battle comes to its peak, with rival teams likely to join the fray to escape the icy hellscape. You can work together to defeat hordes of scourge or shoot down fellow humans and take their resources for yourself. So, like I said, it's different in its own way. I love the idea of the tornadoes, guys. This is going to be, it'll be something interesting for sure. And the best part about it, guys, is it's going to be free to play. And that's what's going to be really special, I think, about Scavengers. Many games, guys, out there, are becoming more and more free to play, especially the Battle Royales. But I'm excited, to say the least, what we can kind of take from this game and all that we've seen from it. I gotta say, I'm pretty excited because not only are you taking on, other people out there, you're also taking on the environment itself. Kind of reminds me of Hunt Showdown a little bit, and so that's something that I think is going to be pretty cool. So, Scavengers is still in the early days so far as development is concerned. Still, as Midwinter teases details and Mother retrieves vital data from the testing grounds, more information is sure to trickle through. So, I mean, look here, guys. We don't know a ton of information as of yet based on this game. But the things that we do know, I mean, obviously what's important to know right at this point in time, free to play. You're going to have PvE and PvP. You're going to, I'm wondering if there's some kind of story that we're going to see here within this Battle Royale. I think that could be something really interesting just to see how all of this stuff happened. I think that would be really neat to see a Battle Royale kind of take the approach where there's this, long withstanding story going on. It's not so much randomized and such as maybe games like, Fortnite and such. It's more just has an actual story and there's like a reason why you're doing all the things you're doing within this world. I think that could be something really special. But like I said, guys, I'm excited to hear more information about it, and I'll be sure to share it with you guys as it comes out. Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you guys excited for Scavengers? What do you guys think about it? Let me know. And for more Scavengers content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Another title that has got me excited, guys, is Hood, Outlaws, and Legends. This is a title, guys, that is supposedly going to be coming out in 2021, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about all the different things that we know so far about this title. Lots of people have been talking about it, I've been getting questions about it, so I thought, let's go ahead in this segment of the show and let's get into it. And let me know, guys, in the comment section down below, are you guys excited about Hood, Outlaws, and Legends? And that way we can have a real conversation about it. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article written by Jen Glennon of Inverse, the philosophy of stealing from the rich to give to the poor is at the heart of every Robin Hood story. But Focus Home Interactive looks to change up that familiar formula with its gritty, hardscrabble take on medieval thievery adventures. During the Game Awards on December 10th, Focus Home Interactive revealed the release date and a new look at gameplay for Hood, Outlaws, and Legends. So, as far as the release date, that's always the big one, guys. Hood, Outlaws, and Legends will be released on consoles and PC on May 10th, 2021. If you pre-order a copy of the game, you'll be able to play the game 3 days early starting on May 7th. So, first of all, guys, obviously, like we've been talking about in this show, we've been talking about, you got to kind of take these dates with a pinch of salt because of everything going on in the world. Maybe, hopefully, they will be able to stick with the May 10th release date, but it's hard to say, guys, because a lot of times these studios, a lot of the people are working from home and the developers are working from home, and so when you're working remotely, a lot of times things might get delayed. So hopefully that's not the case here, but just remember, there's a chance that it'll come out in May, but maybe it'll be later on this year. So, as far as the trailer is concerned, guys, you guys can check out the trailer. The trailer does make it clear that this isn't the cuddly do-gooder Robin Hood that audiences might be used to. Here's what Focus Home has to tell us about the world of the game, courtesy of the game's official site. In a violent medieval world, outplay rival gangs in intense PvPvE multiplayer heists, moving in stealth to steal treasures unseen or dominating through loud and brutal combat. Only the best will escape with hard-earned riches. An oppressed kingdom strangled by the iron fist of a dictator cries out for help. You must answer the call, take up arms, and fight for the people in intense tactical team-based action. Play as one of the legendary figures of yore in nail-biting heists where you must infiltrate, locate, and extract priceless treasure guarded by a powerful military force. Sounds pretty awesome, guys, in my opinion. I think it sounds really cool. I love how it's PvP, but it's also VE. Of course, going up against the environments and such is going to be something pretty cool. What platforms will Hood, Outlaws, and Legends be released on? So, Hood, Outlaws, and Legends will be released on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series S, and Xbox Series X, as well as PC next May. So I'm really glad that this is not like an exclusive. I'm glad that this is going to be on all the consoles and such. Who are the playable characters? Although Outlaws in Legends is an unexpectedly dark and violent take on the familiar fairy tale story, it will allow players to step into the shoes of familiar characters like Friar Tuck and Robin's Lady Love Maid Marian. In a post on the PlayStation blog, studio head of Sumo Newcastle, Owen O'Brien, outlined what players can expect from each of the playable heroes. So, of course, guys, there's, of course, Hood himself, Little John, Friar Tuck, Maid Marian, and who knows, guys, maybe there's going to be more that we can kind of expect between those four. So, let's talk about each of those. Hood is, of course, the ranger skilled at range combat. He can hide in the shadows or perch at a high window and support the team from a distance. He can tag targets and remove threats with his longbow. His explosive arrow ability can be devastating to tightly packed groups and can even down the dreaded sheriff for a while at least. Little John has become John Naylor, a brawler, close combat specialist, and general tank. His deadly hammer can kill with a single blow, while his wrath ability turns him into an unstoppable melee powerhouse with endless stamina. If your team is trapped and all seems lost, he is the only outlaw strong enough to raise the portcullis and open up an escape route for the team. Friar Tuck, we morphed into Took, a scarred ex-state inquisitor. His flail makes him strong at close and mid-range combat, while his mystical abilities can heal and support his team, revealing the position of nearby enemies. And Maid Marian moved from being a damsel in distress to a warrior and leader in her own right, which is indeed how some of the legends already depicted her. Her burst fire crossbow and assassination skills terrorize the enemy, while her smoke grenades and invisibility ability bring a stealthy advantage to any heist. So look, I gotta say, guys, from the things that we know at this point in time, it seems like this is going to be another one of those fun games. I mean, sure, looks like it's going to be a big multiplayer experience, guys, but there's nothing wrong with that. And the hope here for me with this game is that we can see this title kind of add on things outside of the multiplayer experience. Hopefully they can create a full-blown story out of this in a lot of co-op modes and things of that nature. So I'm hoping Focus Home Interactive end up doing that, because this is something, obviously, guys, this is certainly, like they said, a fairy tale story, but it's different in its own right. And so I would really like to play a campaign, to be honest, as well as playing the multiplayer modes and hopefully having co-op modes as well. But I'm excited about this title. I really am. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Hopefully it sticks with the release date, guys, and hopefully it's a fully, polished and ready to go game. I'm excited about it. Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you guys excited about Hood, Outlaws, and Legends? And, what are you guys looking forward to the most with this title? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Hood, Outlaws, and Legends content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel about Dead Rising and this franchise from, the past, the present, and what could be the future of it moving forward. And I wanted to talk with you guys in this segment of the show about what happened to Dead Rising, because there's been a lot of people that have asked the question, will there be a continuation of this franchise at some point or another in the future? And I wanted to go ahead and talk about what happened here, because a lot of it is speculation, some of it is fact. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Maybe we can kind of speculate on whether or not there will be a continuation at some point in the future. And let me know, guys, in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about Dead Rising? Do you think there will be a continuation, or do you think it's in a state of no return? So let's talk about it. So, guys, there's a couple of things when we talk about, any franchise, and we talk about this all the time on the YouTube channel. There are two major things that dictate whether a franchise is going to continue or if it's going to go into a limbo state or a state of no return. And those two things are, guys, number one is obviously the sales of a game. I mean, that's the bread and butter of it. I mean, if you have really good sales, your game is selling really well, you can almost guarantee that you're going to get a sequel at some point or another. The second part of that is the critical reception of a game. If there is a lot of great feedback and the reviews are very good and such, that can also help your game in a major way. But if one of those two things is not doing very well, like the sales or the reception of a title, that can put your title into a really bad place. Now, there's obviously a lot of other things that go into this besides those two things, but those are usually, generally speaking, the two major things that these franchises and those that are making them look at. So when we look at the aggregate review scores of the original Dead Rising titles, guys, we look at Dead Rising, got 85 on the Xbox 360, got a 78 on PS4. That's pretty good. We see usually the series as a whole did a pretty good job of getting pretty good reviews. Up until Dead Rising 3, you had Dead Rising 3, like all of the different other DLC that came out, got very poor reviews, or I should say very average reviews, to really put it lightly. But overall, when you look at each of these titles that comes out, none of them did as well as the very first Dead Rising title, but even Dead Rising 4 was getting got pretty good reviews. 74 on PC, 72 on Xbox One, and PS4 got a 71. So pretty good at the end of the day. Now, the second part of this, though, guys, is, of course, the sales and such. Dead Rising 4, guys, this title came out back in 2016. So obviously it's been a while, right? It's been a little while since we saw a continuation of Dead Rising and this franchise. Well, here's the deal. We're getting all this information from none other than Wikipedia, guys. As far as the reception goes for Dead Rising 4, we already talked about it. It got pretty good reviews, right? It was certainly a little bit above average. Now, as far as what happened here, why didn't we get a Dead Rising 5? Because there was, guys, for those of you who didn't know, there was a Dead Rising 5 that was greenlit and was in active development. A sequel to the game titled Dead Rising 5 was in development at Capcom Vancouver. The game was set between Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising 3 and would have followed the adventures of Chuck and Katie Green in Mexico. The project was canceled when Capcom Vancouver shut down in September of 2018. So, honestly, guys, that's pretty much what happened here. So let's talk about it. Now, sure, there's a lot of like details that go behind why did, Capcom Vancouver get shut down. But you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of what happened at Visceral Games with EA. Of course, Visceral Games were the ones who made the Dead Space franchise, right? And so, the things that happened there kind of sound somewhat familiar. It was just, a lot of it was Dead Space 3 did not meet the expectations of EA. They closed down Visceral Games. But on this side, Dead Rising 5 was in active development. So what happened here? Well, in an article that was written by J. Brody Shuri of Screen Rant, a new video goes into the troubled development of Dead Rising 5, revealing a number of issues that ultimately resulted in the game's cancellation. A new video details the development cycle of Capcom's ill-fated Dead Rising 5, including some very deep-rooted problems that took hold behind the scenes, which sent the game to the grave just a few months after its announcement. The zombie-slaying, makeshift weapon crafting sandbox series had previously been a powerhouse franchise in its earlier years, showing no less than 4 mainline games and even a tie-in film since it first burst onto the Xbox 360 back in 2006. Things all changed when Capcom attempted a 5th Dead Rising game in 2018. Despite initial optimism regarding the new sequel, this planned Dead Rising 5 would eventually be canceled a few months later, causing longtime series developer Capcom Vancouver to shut down and effectively ending the franchise for the time being. Since then, fans have been left wondering what the new game would have entailed, as well as what circumstances caused the project to go wrong so quickly. So, Liam Robertson, Game History Secrets, has provided some insight into these previously unanswered questions in a recent video that was posted on Did You Know Gaming YouTube channel. Robertson details the history of the Dead Rising franchise, including the chaotic development of the ultimately unreleased 5th installment. Apparently, Dead Rising 5 would have starred Dead Rising 2 lead Chuck Green and his now-grown daughter Katie as they battle a drug cartel and another zombie apocalypse in a setting far more vibrant than past titles. However, at the helm, a completely inexperienced team and licensing issues arose over the game's planned use of Unreal Engine 4, which ultimately led Capcom to pull the plug on the game altogether. So even before the disastrous development cycle of Dead Rising 5, the series had already begun to enter rocky territory with the wildly divisive Dead Rising 4, which was rushed through production for a lackluster release in 2016. Critical reception was mixed, and many fans disliked the game's even goofier tone and the fact that several key components from past entries were stripped out, such as the tension-inducing time limits on the campaign that defined Dead Rising as a series. The finished product ultimately sold so poorly that 1/5 of Capcom Vancouver staff had to be laid off prior to the official announcement of Dead Rising 5, with the studio being shuttered shortly thereafter. So, I mean, it just comes to show you guys that Dead Rising and just any franchise out there, they got to take their time, you got to take your time when you're making a game, making sure that it's going to be something that people are going to enjoy, even if you don't know for sure if they're going to enjoy it, make sure it's a well done, project and game. And we know that with Dead Rising 4, it did have a very goofy tone. And honestly, the reviews, the critical reception, it was mixed, but it was more positive than negative. But yes, the goofier tone definitely was not good. And I really wish that they didn't go that extreme. I wish they would have had more of a serious tone to Dead Rising 4. But nonetheless, it sounds like, that Dead Rising 4 was just the beginning of this kind of feel. This certainly wouldn't have helped the game's ultimately ill-fated development cycle, so it may be the best that it simply never came to fruition. Perhaps Dead Rising 5 could have turned the series around due to its more colorful setting and interesting story, but the project was sadly not to be. One day, it can be hoped that the Dead Rising franchise might be rebooted to new success. For now, though, all fans can do is check out the story of the troubled Dead Rising 5, a saga that has seemingly killed off Capcom's once well-regarded series with the blow that not even the undead could weather. And it's unfortunate. It truly is unfortunate, guys, what happened here with Dead Rising 5 in particular. And so that's what I think happened here. At the end of the day, Dead Rising 4 was rushed, comes out, and it's a very goofy tone. There's a lot of criticism there behind that. And like I told you guys, it comes down to two things, reception and sales. So the first thing is the sales. Sales were very poor for Dead Rising 4. So that right there can very well kill a franchise or put it into a limbo state or a state of no return. And then number two is the reception. And the reception was mixed. Sure, it was more positive than negative, but it was still pretty mixed. So you add those two things together and you have yourself a very a problem on your hands, and that's absolutely what Capcom had. They had to lay off a bunch of people over Capcom Vancouver, and I believe this could have been something that I really think that part of the problem was the direction they went with Dead Rising 4, more of a goofier tone. I think if they would have gone with a more serious tone and would have taken their time with it, I think it could have been something really special. But obviously, guys, Dead Rising 5 was not meant to be, at least at this point in time. Now, will we get a Dead Rising 5 at some point? I do think Capcom will revisit it at some point if they don't decide to sell the IP, but it's hard to say, guys. Look, it doesn't look good, at least right now. Similar to like Dead Space, it just doesn't look good right now. Unless somebody comes into the fray, decides to try to purchase the IP or something of that nature. I think that the best hope that we have is us as a community voicing our opinion, stating that we want a Dead Rising 5 to come out. Because right now, we're in a dark place with Dead Rising. We really are. It's another one of those titles that's in a really rough spot because of the decisions that were made with Dead Rising 4. And then, of course, with Dead Rising 5 being greenlit and then being canceled so early, it's really unfortunate. I would have liked to see what Dead Rising 5 would have offered, but it sounds like from multiple interviews and things of that nature that it would have been even more over the top than Dead Rising 4. Now, we don't know if that's 100% true, but that's what, a lot of a lot of interviews and such kind of suggested, was that it was going to be, even more over the top. But it's hard to say, guys. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. What do you guys think? In the comment section down below, let me know. Let's have a real conversation about it. At the end of the day, we as a community have to voice our opinion. If we want a continuation of the Dead Rising franchise, we have to be the ones voicing that and stating that we want this game made. But let me know, guys. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Dead Rising 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.